Hello, hello. I am 11. Thank you so much for being here. I wanted to tune in today to, I just come on to talk about the current landscape of my heart. So, you guys have followed along the journey. It's been a wild ride, let me just tell you. Wow. Today's topic is going to be on polyamory and also on the idea of celibacy, because I've been in deep inquiry and I've been thinking about how my entire life, since I lost my virginity, I actually haven't given myself space to just be in my own energy. And granted, I've definitely taken time to be celibate in the past, but I haven't consciously said that I wanted to be celibate. So, in case you don't know what celibacy is, it is a period of time to, or maybe, it depends on what you agree to or what feels spirit led, to take some time away from any sexual activity. So, I lost my virginity at, I think I was 17 years old. And it was beautiful. I'm so grateful. My very first boyfriend, Nicholas Coda, he was a baseball player at the nearby public high school. I was at a private Christian high school. And he was not a virgin. I was. But he set up this, he was house sitting. I'll never forget. He was house sitting and he set up the scene and he was like, okay, I'm going to create this container. And he lit candles. And it was actually such a beautiful experience. And I look back to that and I'm like, wow, it's a treasured thing, because that could have gone a variety of different ways. And I'm really grateful for how it did come about. With that said, I'm now 35 years old, and I have never consciously said, you know what, I'd like to take a break from all sexual activity. So this is a big step for me to come into this awareness that I'd like to take a little pause. And while simultaneously, I'm actually practicing the art of polyamory, which is loving multiple people at once. I am still in deep learning and I'm a student of this human curriculum, so I don't have it all nailed. I don't fully have all the right, language necessarily. To me, what polyamory means is multiple, poly means multiple, amor means love, right? So loving multiple people at once and not just being like, I'm going to ride off into the distance just with this one being. And I'm an Aquarian, so I have a wild heart through and through. I love people so deeply, and my highest excitement, truly, would be that I am able to flow in and out with different people for the rest of my days, right? So that would be ideal, honestly, because I just, after being married, now divorced, I love people and I get different things from different individuals, and not one person fills up my bucket. And so, with that said, I just want to shed light that polyamory doesn't necessarily mean that you're in a sexual experience with everybody's, with each being. So I'm learning, and I'm growing, and I am exploring, right? I'm in just this really deep inquiry. And so I have a few loves that are like creative partners, and we are very intimate. We share baths together, and sometimes we kiss, and sometimes we flow into more of a sexual experience, and sometimes we don't. And I'm learning that for me, that feels really good to have the sovereignty and to have the ability to co-create those experiences with some beings in my life. So since 11 walked in, this new essence, I have found that there is a lot of desire coming my way. This is a new experience for me. I've always had a lot of desire coming my way. Like, for instance, there's been a lot of people that want to fuck me. I'm just gonna be fucking honest with you. I have always felt a little bit like, I think it was when I actually turned, it was when I had my period and I was 11 years old. You cannot make this up. I was 11 years old when I had my period. And it was then when I walked in the world, right? And it was like this rite of passage that I started noticing cat calls. And I was young. I was like 11 years old. And I remember thinking, oh man, okay, this is interesting. I guess I'm an attractive avatar, a being. And I started like mapping the data, right, as a little one, just going, all right, there's desire, people. And that's a very young age to start contemplating that. So since then, I've been walking in the world as multiple different characters. Honestly, I've kind of explored through lots of different aspects. I've also explored with lots of different visual aspects to my avatar. I've had short hair, I've had long hair. Currently, we're shaved. Last time I was on my YouTube channel, I had green hair, like the Joker, which was fun. So I just keep shape-shifting. I love to play with fashion. That's one thing that I really love to play with, just to create an entirely new essence. So I've gone through multiple flux states in my timeline, and I feel like I am my own muse. I get very inspired by different, you know, ways of showing up, I guess you could say. So I date men, I date women. I'm now really calling in. I would really be open to exploring with being in a belovedship with someone who's trans or non-binary, honestly, because I just like to push my edges and I love to get inside the minds and the hearts of other beings. So I have come to this conclusion though, because I've been walking in the world as 11. My new name, my new alter ego, call it what you want. It is a walk-in. It didn't come from me. It came through very strong, through deep meditation, through deep contemplation and medicine work. And so I've been walking in the world for a little over a year as 11. And Lynette Sine definitely, as I mentioned, had desire, right? Like people definitely were into Lynette, for sure. However, now 11, I'm getting all different kinds of energy, like a lot of energy pouring my direction. And it's been interesting. It's been really interesting because, it's been about 15 plus years that I've explored my sexuality with all different, types of beings. And I tended to call in more of the androgynous type of same-sex partnerships, where I was more of the femme aspect. And now with 11, as I'm balancing out my energetics, I'm calling in more feminine archetypes, like a lot more feminine women or beings, actually, not just women, men too. I'm calling in like super feminine men as well, or queer men. And that's been very interesting. And I've been mapping my own data going, oh, okay, these queer men actually like my masculine. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. So I have been in hyperspeed quantum leap learning, y'all. And just kind of taking it all in strides and, being open, just really being open. So I have been in a belovedship that I was calling a primary partnership with this beautiful human named Cameron. I met him in Mexico, and we've been building a really incredible, unique partnership for the past like Well, since last May. So it was right near Cinco de Mayo, and I met him in Mexico. I had kind of closed the container with Emmy, and I moved to Mexico because I needed to pattern interrupt. We needed to get out of each other's field. We broke up, but we didn't know how to kind of quit. So we just kept spending time together, even though it wasn't hypersexual. We were just, didn't know how to like quit hanging out. And so I had to be the pattern interrupt. I got to, not had to, I got to be the pattern interrupt. And I just moved out of Los Angeles because I was like, whoa, I didn't know how to live so near her and not be in her frequency. And it was really hard. We just needed a break. So I moved to Mexico and I took a few months. Actually, yeah, so I was celibate for a few months, but I didn't like consciously say I was going to be celibate. So I think that's why this is moving through me now to like really make a conscious decision for this. And that feels really good. But yeah, I was celibate for a few months. I didn't really see a lot of people. I hung out with friends maybe like a handful of times. Other than that, I was journaling, dancing, painting, laying out in the sun, reading books for a few months. I took a little sabbatical, and I feel really grateful that I was able to afford myself that time because I really needed a break, and to do it in paradise is the greatest gift. So I did that in Tulum. And then I kind of felt this desire, right, to meet people and kind of open myself up. So I went on Hinge and I put interested in women. I have never been on dating apps. I kind of missed that whole era because I was married. And so I went on a dating app and I made a profile for 11 and I just led with it. I said, hey, I was born with 11 toes. And I just like put a picture of myself going like this. So I was like, if they get it, great. If they don't, fuck them. And I put interest in women. And I was kind of scrolling through there, and I really don't like online dating. It feels kind of weird. I don't like the idea of like swiping past people because of just aesthetics. I am a very heart-based individual. I really love people's hearts. So if you line up all of my beloveds in a row, they all look very different. While some look the same, I would say, like similar, templates. I do love artists and entrepreneurs. That's typically the way it goes. Aesthetically, everybody looks different, and I've had some really interesting experiences with dating. Unique people. So I didn't like the feeling of swiping past somebody just purely based off of aesthetics. I actually hated it, especially with women. So I put interest in women and I hated it. I was like, oh, all these beings are probably wonderful, but I kind of tend to toggle. So I like date a woman for a long time. I like go in deep and then that breaks, that maybe, ruptures, and then I date a man. So I kind of do this like very extreme toggle thing. I'm noticing my own patterns and really witnessing them. And so I decided, okay, let me put interested in both. Fine, I'll put interested in both. And lo and behold, there I swipe Cameron, and I saw his beautiful blue eyes just looking off into the distance. And I could just tell right away from seeing his photo that he was somebody very unique that I'd like to align with. And so wrote him a message, and next thing you know it, we were meeting at a bar. And so we've been walking for the last 10, 11 months, and it's been so beautiful. One of the most beautiful beloved ships I've ever had. I'm so grateful for him. He is one of the most gentle warriors. I call him the white dove. I mean, that is his archetype. He is just this beautiful white dove. He's gentle and kind, and he's done a lot of inner work to get to this point where he just is such a safe space. And I'm really grateful that we've aligned in the ways that we have. And at the same time, I've been really able to be honest with him. From the beginning that we started walking, I said, I really don't want to be in a closed partnership. I would really like to remain open. I really feel a deficit if I'm not in belovedship with a woman. When I am in devotion to a womb, there is a softness that comes through me that I don't want to lose. So I told him that from the beginning, which he was totally open. He had been married before, and I'd like for you guys to meet him, but I'm keeping this partnership very sacred because that is what it is. It's something else. And so because you guys have kind of gotten to see all of my escapades, I've brought Corey on, and I've also brought Emmy on. You haven't gotten to see all of them, I guess, but I've kind of decided to keep this one a little bit more close to the chest because I'm learning, to not really like exploit everything and not just be so, uh, keeping things sacred. So it only took till 35 to get here, guys. So he is so receptive to my needs and my desires and my explorations. And he too is also open, and he's been going on dates with other people and getting to know other people all the while. So because we were very public and open about how we operate, it actually allowed me to explore some other lovers that I've had. One that I had been kind of just, we flow in and out when it makes sense, and he is someone really special, also queer, very publicly queer, actually, in fact. And if you know the band Walk the Moon, it's Nicholas Patrica, and he's somebody that's really near and dear to my heart. And we've been exploring just what it can mean to just have, another artist that you walk with. And I feel really grateful to have him. We've learned a lot, and he was the first man that I had been with after Emmy, actually. And my body was closed to the masculine. So I was very nervous about literally penetration. Honestly, I'm just going to be super honest with you. I had kind of been years without being with a man. And he walked me through just some beautiful things, just breath work and just really opening up my body. And so I'm really grateful for him and our experience. So Cameron actually was, in the awareness when we first started hanging out. I said, I have this other lover, and I flow in and out with him when it makes sense, when our paths align. And, he was okay. He was definitely open to that. So that felt really good. Felt really good to just be fucking radically honest and be like, hey, this is not going to be like us riding off into the distance and us, this like typical heteronormative setup. Listen, like I don't have it in me. I really would like to push my edges, push my boundaries, and just kind of learn. And so he has been willing to play in this arena with me, and it's felt really good. And then this other being showed up in Tulum. And I had this crazy love affair about a little over a month ago, very unexpected. And this friend, who was actually a dear friend and also a lover of friends of mine, and it just kind of happened. And so my inquiry has been, when exploring polyamory, is something that Emmy actually really wanted to explore with me, but I didn't have the heart capacity to do at the time because my nervous system was still in a really deep, recalibration after, coming from a very abusive marriage. My nervous system was like staticky. And so my relationship with Emmy was quite challenging, honestly. I was still really alchemizing a lot of that. And so she was such a free spirit, and she was very open and had other lovers. And we did close our relationship, but we did play. We had some really interesting experiences. So, but I was always like, I kind of always felt like this triggered state, and it didn't feel good in my body. And I didn't show up the greatest, and vice versa. She didn't also show up the greatest to make me feel safe. And we've now chatted about that. So that's why I'm able to share. And, it was deep learning. She's one of my greatest teachers. And she always would say, I would really like to act on desire in real time. Like I would like to practice sovereignty, so much so that I can act on desire in real time. And I just was like, oh, I don't know. I don't think I can give you that, you know? And now moving forward, of course, it's karmic. I said the same thing with Cameron. I said, you know, actually, I'd really like to act on desire in real time, because now I'm finding this space of sovereignty and just wanting to explore and, like I said, push boundaries and edges. So he was like, okay, I trust you. I was like, wow, okay. So I got to exercise that. And this lover came in, like I said, unexpectedly, and I had no idea that something was going to unravel there. Honestly, it was like, when I say lover, it was, you know, now I say a lover, but it was just this friend that came to visit Tulum. And we went out dancing one night, and lo and behold, it was like we locked eyes, and it was just this movie moment, you know? And it's that thrill, you know, that thrill of like a new energy. And it's something beautiful. And when you're sitting here watching me, I think you know what I'm talking about if you explore at all in those spaces. And that idea of just desire, and this being is also somebody who's very special, like, right? I don't just let my space. I can count on one hand how many people I've allowed into my space, my portal, right? In the last 5 to 10 years, honestly. So I'm very specific, okay? I don't just sleep around. I'm not, you know, this hyper promiscuous person, although I have a provocative heart. I am not I mean, I'm just very specific about who I let into my field. That's not to say that I haven't had a few one night stands. I have. And then I learned from them, and I was like, oh, I'm like taking on this energy and I don't like it. It actually feels really icky in my body, and I don't want to have to transmute other people's stuff. So sacred sensuality, sexuality is very important, y'all. This space, this portal to the next dimension is a very, very, very sacred space. And I've done a lot of womb healing, And it's been a process to kind of like cut off any cords of people that are siphoning my energy, to come back into my own sovereign space. So I had this crazy love affair in Tulum that Cameron was in the full awareness of, and they actually got to walk and talk and work it out. And I, you know, had them talk about it, and they hugged it out. We all hugged it out and workshopped it together, talked about it, you know, and it was beautiful. It was one of the most beautiful exercises I've ever had in my life, where I had these two beings that, you know, I was, you know, essentially sexually active with, you know, like pretty closely together, and to have them talk it out. I was like, wow, that is quite remarkable, I'll say. And lots of learning in that space, of how to create a win, and just to really be radically honest and just say, hey, you know, this is where I'm at. And so that has been my current landscape of polyamory, right? And this new love affair that I had, you know, at first was kind of open to exploring this idea of polyamory, I guess, with me. And then after sitting with it and in inquiry, they're like, you know, I actually don't think my heart has the capacity for this. And I was like, bummer. What a bummer, but I totally understand. I understand. It's not for everyone. This lifestyle is definitely not for everyone. It requires an entire shift in what society has kind of created for us, that it's like you have one soulmate and you walk with this one person, you get married, and it's just like, again, you ride off into the distance together. And that's not to say that I don't believe in sacred union. I just would like to try. You know, I would like to try. And I think this Aquarian age is bringing something new out of me to just, again, blur lines and kind of shed old ways of being, and with really great communication, we can have it all. And, so I've been doing a lot of research, a lot of listening, and tuning in with other people that are practicing the art of polyamory. And it's a really interesting thing. So, there is no right or wrong answers. That's the truth. And so we can sit here in judgment and project our own fears and ideas onto other people, or we can just be open and listen um, and just, give people the space to just try things on for size. So, yeah. So that crazy love affair opened me up to an entirely different awareness because it was fast and furious. We went deep really fast, pun intended. I think we just, yeah, it was something else. It was something else. It was really a beautiful experience. And then it kind of quickly as it began, it came to a close. And so since then, I've just pulled way back. I kind of got out of the pattern that Cameron and I were in. Also, I went on a little pilgrimage. I'm here in the States and I just needed a little break to be kind of in my own energy and be the pattern interrupt. So just really listening, to what I need. And it's been beautiful. It's been really beautiful. And then realizing, that my body has felt kind of closed towards other experiences because I think my heart is so large, and that I really now, after this experience with this other being, I realize that I need to have even better communication if I'm going to have, or just a better manage my expectations, I guess, because I think I was really looking forward to, I'm just like such a wild one that I'm like, why can't we just love each other forever and flow in and out when it makes sense and not be so attached, I guess. But not everybody's there, so I get to manage, like I said, my expectations. And so now moving forward, I am celibate. I've decided to just take some time off. I'm not really putting a date on it, but I just feel really good about building loves, like belovedship with other beings, but not it needing to be sexual, because my heart really desires to be in full alignment with people that are willing to walk this provocative road with me. And I think that requires a lot more time and space to get to know one another and like what, the true desires are. And guys, what is coming through me now is so interesting. I am in the awareness that the setup that I end up in is going to rock some fucking worlds. I do not see myself in a partnership with just a man. I'm kind of in this like yes and thing. I would really love to raise or have like a seed donor and like actually be in devotion to a womb, and then maybe have like a king around, or maybe be in partnership with like a man and a what, I don't know, like a excuse me, like a tripod or something. I don't know. Honestly, it's getting real provocative. And I've been like letting my heart just kind of dream and scheme of what it could look like. And I think again, we have this like belief that we need to be in, okay, we get married to this one being and we have, 1.2 kids and the white picket fence. And I'm like, ugh, why? So I've been really studying the ancients and tribal mentality where, the tribe raises the children, and it's not like, was that your seed? Whose child is this? Because one family raises the child. No, like as a tribe, they raised children. So I'm really kind of looking to ancient ways, honestly, and really diving in deep to what my heart wants. And again, do I believe in sacred union? Yes. But why does sacred union need to be the way that we've, like monogamy is actually quite a new thing. This has only been around since the last couple hundred years. I recommend watching what you can find online. There's the Netflix series called Explained, and they have a whole segment on monogamy. Highly recommend it. A lot of what I've touched on today is in there. So also, if you study ancient Lemuria, the Lemurians, they were always very open sexually, and they had multiple beloveds, and sex was not seen as this addiction. It was seen as this communion with God, with the divine source of all things. So really interesting stuff. Really interesting stuff when you start tuning in and just like seeking more, and disintegrating false shame and false guilt, and all those icky emotions that aren't real, but can somewhat keep us paralyzed and trapped. So it's been a very interesting time in my life, y'all, and I love to kind of bring you guys in on it. I thank you for listening and being here. Feel free to comment below and leave me any questions. Let's create a dialogue. Let's spark new curiosities, and just kind of talk through it, and I have nothing to hide. I'm here to kind of just tell my story. I would not share unless I've really sat with it in my own inquiry. So today felt like a day that I could share. So I'm letting y'all in on my process. This is a vulnerable thing to do, but I feel very called to share. And yeah, so have you guys been celibate? Have you, maybe you're asexual and you've never had sex? Tell me about that. Do you date men? Do you date women? Why? Have you heard of polyamory? Does this freak you out? Are you sitting here seething in judgment as you watch me? What gave you the reasoning behind why you show up the way you do? Was it the Catholic Church, Christian Church? Again, when you study outside of canonized scripture, and study other ways of being around the world, and you travel, you start to see that everyone does things differently. And so outside of this very hyper-sterilized and Western idea of what marriage and monogamy and sacred union looks like, we get to learn more. So I have lived a lot of life in 35 years. I'm really grateful for that. And I have finally reached a point in my journey where I can say, the more that I think that I know, the less that I know. That's what I know. So I am just here living, loving, and learning. I am trying new things. I might change my mind tomorrow. I could meet the love of my life at the Trader Joe's next door as I'm browsing through an aisle. You just never know, So I'm just in real time sharing my process. We are in flux at all times. And if we afford ourselves the ability to change our minds and to try things, who would we be? So that's just what I'm doing, And that feels fun and exciting, and I will keep you guys informed as I dive in deeper to more. So this is just a channeled message that felt like it wanted to come through. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I love each of you. I love you so much. It's been such a journey sharing my life and looking back at my very first video to now and just being like, whoa, how crazy. It's been such an adventure, and I am just so grateful to walk with each of you. So I will see you guys in the future. Make sure to follow me on Instagram. I'm a lot more active over there. So I am 11XX, like this tattoo, because I am the Godex, kind of like this one right here. I got a new tattoo of Nefertiti. Woo! Lots to learn from these guys. Lots to learn. We coming in hot, y'all. We coming in hot. We're reincarnating, and here we are. So it's been quite an experience to learn that some really powerful archetypes are resurfacing in consciousness, and to be one of them is something else. So thank you, Great Spirit, for using me. Thank you. I'm so humbled to share my story and to be one that people look to as a way shower. So onward ever, backwards never. I'll see y'all very soon. I love you.